into this grass, and I went full sprint and dive into the grass, and it took me like 5 minutes to get out of it.
So you were hammered drunk on Friday and did all that shit, and then Saturday I turn around, do Oktoberfest, real proper like, and it was just a complete shit show for the both of us.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Aubrey said, we got back up to the hotel room, and I had to go pee like 8 times, but the lights were off, and I just ran into like 10 things every time I got up. Like she said, I thought I broke my toe. I was getting knocked over. It was a hell of a night.
All right, well, it's an NFL Week 4 Instant Reactions podcast. We were hammered this weekend, so let's get loaded now. And welcome to the Loaded Box Podcast,
where we never finish first because we finished last.
Thank you once again for tuning in. I am Ben Morgan. That is DJ Primo, and we are back. We're going to be doing our NFL Week 4 Instant Reactions podcast. But man, what a terrible weekend. There's a bucket over here, and if you're watching on YouTube, you can see it right now. My head was buried in that thing for like 2 freaking hours. We talked about it on our preview podcast about Oktoberfest getting the best of me, and Oktoberfest literally killed me again.
That is a jug.
No, this is a bucket.
People will never get it. Google Delonte West.
Yes, please Google Delonte West. I need to say that before we get started right here, I think my biggest accomplishment yesterday, and it relates to fantasy football and Twitter, was the fact that I was hammered by like 4 p.m.
Oh, I was so mad at you.
And I somehow got back up to it, and I had the wherewithal to send a tweet out to say, hey, I'm back. I'm alive. Send me your fantasy football start-sit questions. And I was looking back at them. Pretty much all the advice that I gave from Week 4 in the NFL today was spot on. And someone had asked a question about the Packers. And I don't know where this tweet came from, but I said, DJ Primo watches the Green Bay Packers like Bill Cosby watches girls' drinks. Boom.
Yeah.
I don't know where that came from, but I'm going to label it Tweet of the Year, from me anyway.
I'm trying to tell you to go to bed. I kept texting, go to bed. Like, I didn't want him texting or tweeting from our podcast page while he's just hammered drunk. I'm like, dude, stop just go to bed. And he wouldn't stop. He just kept going.
Can't stop, won't stop. That's the commitment that we give to you guys week in and week out. So,
you have a history of bad decisions. Ask the Wolf. So I just didn't want to go down that path again.
I don't blame you. Well, let's kick it off. Let's do our instant reactions. We pride on being one of the first podcasts that you can listen to for all of the recap to the week that is action. So we're going to be there for you already Sunday night. Otherwise, we'll be there waiting for you in your podcast downloads Monday morning when you get to work. So let's start right away. We both had a couple of streaks that broke today. We'll start with my streak because the Dolphins are no longer undefeated. They lost 38-7 to the New England Patriots. DJ, I'll let you lead it off. What is your instant reaction?
My instant reaction, single syllable, not so single, is I'm upset. Apparently that's the name of a Drake song.
It is.
I am done with this Miami offense. Never running the ball with their best playmaker. They ran the ball 15 times again today. They just don't run it. And the one thing I said is you're playing against New England. You don't want Tom Brady to have the ball, and they play right in their hands. They just let Tom Brady and that Patriots offense continue to have the ball by not controlling it and getting it to their best playmaker in Drake. It's like, is Gase that good, or did they just play some shit teams and kind of fell in their lap? Like, I am legitimately sitting Drake for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
I have Sony Michel on my bench. I've got Kerryon Johnson, who's doing better. I've got Aaron Jones. I've literally got 3 running backs that I'm actually excited to play, and Drake's not seeing my lineup. I might even drop him.
No, you're not going to do that. I hope.
I might.
I said on the last episode when we did our instant reactions after the Dolphins win, I said, you know what? There's going to be some hot names on the waiver wire this week. It's going to be Jakeem Grant. It's going to be Albert Wilson. And I remember Breaking Bad. Tread lightly. That whole Dolphins offense, you just need to tread lightly. They basically won 2 weeks ago by gimmick playing the Raiders to death. That's how they won the game. And then it showed up today. They didn't get to run their gimmick plays against New England. They became one-dimensional. Like you said, they ignored Drake. And boom, they literally got shut out. I mean, they got a garbage touchdown with Brock Osweiler, which I told you going into the year that if Brock Osweiler plays a single meaningful down for the Miami Dolphins, takes a single snap, that it is a new all-time low as a Dolphins fan. And folks, we've hit rock bottom.
Is it meaningful if you're already getting your ass blown out?
Yeah, questionable word usage on that one. I will just say one that ends in a NFL box score. I'll go with that.
Okay.
My instant reaction is patience plays, because fantasy owners of Sony Michel, you're about to be rewarded now that Rex Burkhead was put on IR.
2 out of 3 leagues, baby.
Yeah, props to you. You were all over Michel, but it's Michel and it's James White. And White still had 16 touchdowns. He still had 2 touchdowns. But after watching that game...
16 touchdowns and 2 touchdowns?
Sorry, 16 touches. 2 touchdowns would be a hell of a game. I still think Michel's the back to own in this backfield. He had over 100 rushing yards. He had a touchdown. You saw his vision. You saw his speed. You saw that he's super tough to tackle. He's going to get opportunities to shine in New England just because New England is actually good on offense. Everyone just overreacted to that first start. So New England's fine. The Dolphins weren't a 3-0 team. They shouldn't have been a 3-0 team. And Sony Michel, I believe, is the running back to own in that backfield.
So far, I think that you're still hungover because you said 16 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns, and you couldn't even read your own single syllable, which was patience pays, not patience plays. So you're really off to a good start right now.
Struggle busting.
You're having a hell of a night. You couldn't. We had to take 3 intros because Ben was getting frustrated with me and his wife. Like, he's a mess right now.
I am the common denominator of all things that are bad in today. Football didn't work out well for me. Let's go on to the next game, damn it. The Bengals, your team, we both had this game in our against the spread picks. You get to win this time. Bengals beat the Falcons 37-36. What do you got?
That's what I was going to say. Winners. Winners. Maybe you didn't catch that this time. I told you I would win that bet because I win bets. Duh. That's what I do. I win bets. So keep listening to me as I didn't go undefeated this week, but I'm still winning.
All right.
Usual.
Well, my single syllable also relates to our bets because I'm going to say heartbreak number 1. Heartbreak number 1 because the Falcons were covering my bet. A Falcons defensive back just decided to take the route away before the end zone when Cincinnati only needed a touchdown. A field goal wouldn't have done anything. He takes the short route, leaves A.J. Green, who's running the route in the end zone alone. A.J. Green catches the game winner. You now have the Falcons.
Beautiful throw.
It was a great throw, but you have the Falcons who are 1-3. Their issue has been on defense. They've allowed 24, 43, and 37 points the last 3 weeks. They've got the offense to compete. We've seen that. Ridley had another breakout game. Julio had like 170 yards. They've got to get it figured out on defense, or they're going to struggle in the NFC and especially in the NFC South. DJ, you alive?
The Bengals, I thought I put myself on mute, and then I did put myself on mute, then I had to unmute myself. The Bengals may be the team to beat in the AFC North right now, too. They're showing out a little bit. 3-1.
They are, yeah.
It's exciting stuff. Also, besides that, let's talk about the important thing. Did you see Tyler Eifert's leg?
After you text me, I looked at it, and man, some players are just cursed. Like, some players weren't meant to ever be able to have a full season. And like you said, he's done.
His knee was like, his leg was straight, but his side of his foot was flat, like on the ground.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't look right. Like, he's got to retire now, doesn't he?
You just got to be done. And you just, I hate to say that he has all the talent in the world. When he's been healthy, he's been able to produce, but man, just can't keep it together. Just literally cursed in regards to injuries.
Yep.
Let's move on to the Buccaneers demolishing the Bears 48-10. What do you got here?
I've got Fitzmagic.
Nice.
So we all knew the magic was running out. We could kind of see it happening. This is what Fitzpatrick does. He gets everybody all excited for a couple of weeks. Everybody freaks out. And then he ran into probably the best defense on his down tick. You can kind of see it start last week in the NFL. And then that was it. So I just say, get on that waiver wire. I'm sure Jameis is on there. Pick him up because he's going to light it up because he is better than Ryan Fitzpatrick. And he's got, a ton of weapons. So I did it again, Ben. Drinking beer.
Did I see that Khalil Mack had for the 4th straight game a strip sack? Like, is that really a thing? Like,
I don't know.
On.
I didn't see
I'm saying that he did.
I mean, they were constantly there.
I'm saying that he did. You don't need to look it up. That's just an unbelievable stat. But my instant reaction to this game is full stream ahead Because congratulations to any of you people that stream quarterbacks and used Mitch Trubisky after his kind of shaky start over the first few weeks. 350 yards, 6 touchdowns, and fantasy purposes, an additional 5 points because he got 53 yards on the ground. Do you think, as a Bears and Mitch Trubisky truther, that he's worthy of a waiver wire pickup? Or do you think he's just more of that, like, well, if I need to stream him kind of guy? Because he has shown some inconsistencies, and it hasn't always been there. And remember, it was against the Buccaneers. They've now allowed over 30 points in three of the first 4 weeks.
So I think what happened here is you finally saw. I know the Buccaneers aren't a great defense by any means, but what you saw is like finally the whole offense getting on the same page. And Cohen, who I played in fantasy today, which didn't matter because I dominated anyways. But they found how to use it, or Mitch Trubisky figured out how Nagy wants to use him. Allen Robinson was involved. Trey Burton was involved. Right. So they've got all those weapons. Like I said before, I think he's going to be a great weapon. It might be a little bit more based off a matchup, but I had Mitch Trubisky today actually starting. I had Jared Goff from Thursday. I had Andrew Luck on my bench backing up Jared Goff today. So that was 40 points. Yeah. But Mitch Trubisky should be on teams. There's a reason I drafted him, and this is, I think, just going to be the start of it. There will be, obviously, better matchups than others. I mean, you're not going to play him every single week, but you're going to play him against, like, Detroit and other teams like that, and all the AFC East teams, which they have this year. So,
yeah, I mean, if anything, it's a confidence boost. I mean, man, that's a hell of a day. So let's move on to our next game. It's the Cowboys versus the Lions. Cowboys eke out a game-winning field goal to win 26-24. What do you have here?
My single syllable here is blah. These two teams are just blah to me. They don't get me excited. The Lions have great fantasy weapons on offense. They have the Galladay. They have Marvin Jones. They have Golden Tate, who's dominating. Kerryon Johnson, who I'll insert into my lineup every now and then. But as far as the teams go, they're not playoff teams. They're not going to the playoffs. They're losers. I don't need to talk about them too much more. You know what they are in offense as far as the Lions go, and then the Cowboys just don't have anything.
Right. My single
Zeke Elliott.
Yeah, Zeke Elliott set his career high for total scrimmage yards, I believe, today because he got it done on. The Cowboys finally figured out how to win. You hand the ball to Zeke, and when you're not handing it to him, you throw it to him. Yeah. You literally make him involved in every single play, and that's how you win a game.
Exactly. That's all they can do.
Right. But my instant reaction to this one is tricked, because after his 100-yard game last week, Kerryon got 10 total touches, despite averaging over 6 yards per carry, and he had that touchdown where he just trucked that dude. What'd you say?
No, I was just saying he had a touchdown, but you said it.
Yeah. Dude, second it. There you go. I think Kerryon's just going to frustrate fantasy owners all year. He's looking like that guy that you want to start, but he just doesn't get nearly as many touches as I feel that he should. But I think that you got to keep using him. However, it sort of seems like, even though he's only had the one touchdown this year, it sort of seems like he's going to be a touchdown-dependent kind of guy unless his volume increases. I just thought after 100 yards and then still averaging six yards a carry today, he'd get more than 10 touches. And I think he had 9 carries and a catch. I feel like they need to find a way to get him the ball a little bit more.
I mean, like I said, Matt Patricia, don't really trust him, put all his eggs into that Patriots basket and realized he needed to run, which the Dolphins apparently didn't watch the tape from last week. I don't know. Still don't know what they were doing. But, I mean, the Dolphins, I've said this before the season, I'm going to say this all the time, Detroit is going to throw the ball. That's just who they are. They forget. It doesn't matter who the coach is, apparently. They just forget that they have the ability to run, and they're just going to throw it. That's what they're going to do. No. Although the Cowboys do have one of the better front sevens in the league, they didn't have Sean Lee, so you have to give them the ball a few more times to see how they react without him. Yeah. And they're typically not good without Sean Lee, always.
Right. No, I just anticipated more carries from him and just more touches in general. So a little upsetting as a fantasy owner. Let's move on to your Packers, who blanked the Bills 22-0. What do you got?
Field syllable here is sloppy. I was very upset. Didn't feel like a win to me. I Josh Allen just stinks. It's like the defense just shut him out. He's garbage. I don't know what the fuck the Vikings were doing last week or how they let him do anything. Because to me, the Packers defense isn't where the Vikings are at, and they sacked him every 5 seconds. The Packers, as always, they're still kind of figuring it out. They're getting there. They had no Randall Cobb. Geronimo got hurt. Jimmy Graham's starting to find his way. Rodgers is starting to look healthier. He was running around, didn't look like he was limping. But guys are just continuing to drop the damn ball. Geronimo dropped two great plays. It's like you just need to make these plays. And then Aaron Jones. This is just McCarthy. I hate McCarthy. Like, I just don't get what he's doing. But Aaron Jones, 11 carries for 65 yards, so almost 6 yards per carry, and a touchdown. He needs to be the starting running back now. Let's stop effing around here. Give him a majority of the carries. And then mix in Williams to block on like a third down or something like that. Even Aaron Jones should still be on there. But the defense, they played great. I'm not going to put much stock into that. It's because it was Josh Allen. I already think he's garbage. But I honestly, I was disappointed in that win, the way they won. And even Aaron Rodgers after the game said the defense played championship caliber. The offense played terrible. Devontae should have had. He literally said Devontae should have had. I think like 20 or 50 targets or something like that, and they should have won by like 40, which they should have.
Yeah, I wanted to go back real quick on your Aaron Jones take because, that actually looks like a running back. The Packers have kind of had these guys that just, like your Ty Montgomery type kind of guys who are more like a hybrid back. I would love to see Aaron Jones get like 15 carries per game in that offense. I just don't know just because of how they play, how it would pan out. So, but yeah, he's by far the most complete back I think they have.
It's indisputable at this point.
Right. My instant reaction to this one is deformed human because I saw some of this game and every single time I looked, I witnessed Josh Allen literally with his back to the play, and it wasn't even due to like play action and doing fakes. There's no one in the league that looks the opposite direction of the play more than Josh Allen. I don't get it. He legit must have eyes in the back of his head. Otherwise, I can't explain what he's doing. And on top of that, good luck, Buffalo. Last week, classic blind squirrel nut situation. Like, best of luck with your blind quarterback.
Yeah, he did. Russell Wilson does that a ton, but it seemed like 3 or 4 times that he just turned around and like, it was like Mike Daniels or Kenny Clark were just standing there hugging him like, yay, like you ran into the sack because you turned around instead of stopping. He literally, it was funny. It was like he was turning around and giving these guys like hugs and kisses all game.
Yeah, really weird to witness, but funny at the same time. Let's talk about the Titans and the Eagles. Titans win an overtime game, 26-23. What do you got here?
I got breakout here. So this will be the game we look back to and say this is where Corey Davis finally started his breakout. 161 yards and a touchdown on my bench. I wasn't comfortable playing him yet, especially against that Eagles defense. So I'm okay with it. I'm fine. Like I said, I'm dominating, so it's all good. He's on my bench. At this point, I'm going to start playing him. Like, I wanted to see that. He has had a lot of targets his way when Mariota was out there. A majority of his passes were going to it before he got injured, and now he's back. So as long as Mariota's out there, I'm playing Corey Davis because he's going to be targeted. I believe he had 9 catches, too.
Yeah.
So Corey Davis is a guy that's going to find my starting lineup, especially in PPR. I'll be playing him a bunch going forward.
Yeah, I think the most important thing you said there was the fact that, like, maybe it's a breakout game going forward, but most importantly, it was who was against. It wasn't like he was playing against the Buccaneers like what we just saw Trubisky and all his weapons do. This was against the Eagles. We thought the Eagles had a great pass defense and a great defense in general. And here not only did the Titans win, but Corey Davis goes for like 150 plus, the game-winning touchdown. That might be exactly what they need. I believe that's his first ever regular season touchdown.
Yeah, it was.
Because I think he had 2 against New England in the playoffs last year. But yeah, great to see that. Me and you are both huge Corey Davis fans. You have a little bit more stock in him this year in fantasy, but nice to see that finally happen. My instant reaction to this one, I already had heartbreak number 1. This one's heartbreak number 2 because a late change in the spread made it Eagles by 3, and then your boy Corey Davis breaks my heart with that touchdown. But man, Tennessee's a real confusing team. They didn't run the ball really at all. 70 rushing yards, and 46 of them were by Mariota. And then Mariota, who struggled a little bit through the air while he's played, throws for 344 and 2 touchdowns against a good Eagles defense. So I love gambling. You love gambling. We love betting on games. But this is a perfect example of why you set personal betting limits. That's your dad advice of the day right there.
Yeah, I'm confused by all these teams. Like I don't know what's going on with the Eagles. I expect now that Alshon Jeffrey's back, you're going to see a lot more offense out of this team now.
I agree.
You've got Alshon, Aguilar, and Ertz all together. I think you're going to see a lot more points than the Wentz that I've been expected to see now, starting next week. But even defensively, I don't expect the Titans to do too much against teams, and they played pretty well against the Eagles there, which is, I don't know. This NFL, it's so confusing right away. Hopefully we can figure it out, but I still don't know what's going on with some of these teams.
Yeah, once you think you know, man, you just get like just shot in the face by it. Like, oh, never mind. I don't have a good read on that team. Never mind. Let's stick in the AFC South here. The Texans beat the Colts, and I talked about my perfect streak coming to an end with the Miami Dolphins, and this sadly, I know that you were getting a little bit cocky, but this sadly is where your against the spread bet streak comes to an end. Texans win 37-34.
Yeah, my single syllable here is streak. This is the game I lost my undefeated streak, as Ben just mentioned. I thought I had it. Like, at the end of that game, luck was kind of taking over. He was doing his thing. He was driving down the field. They tied the game with a two-way conversion. Then they get the ball in overtime. He's doing the same thing. I feel like they're going to go down instead of kicking a field goal. I felt like they were going to score. Should have. Guys didn't make enough plays. Andrew Luck did. It seemed as if they were going to go down and score. Luck played awesome in the end of that game. And even when they went for it, I was excited. I was glad they went for it because you don't play to tie. You play to win the game. But you know what? I still went 2-1. I'm 11-1 now, still up a bunch of units. So it's not like I'm struggling by any means.
No.
I lost a very close one in which it seemed like I was going to win there at the end.
No, hell of a streak. Literally, my hat's off to you. I wasn't wearing one to begin with, but if I would take it off for a second here. 11 is good. 11 is a hell of a streak. So, congrats to that. And if you are brand new to the podcast, we each do 3 against the spread picks going into it, and DJ was perfect until this Colts game got him. So, 11-1 on the year. That's pretty good.
I'm still confident. Trust me.
Oh, you got to be. That's a good percentage. I'm not great at math, but it's got to be over 90.
Yeah, it definitely is.
My instant reaction to this one is Naheem the Dream, because we've been waiting for a Colts running back to separate themselves and maybe be that guy for the season. And he only had 4 carries, only had 10 yards. But I think we have a good enough read on the Colts to know by now that whoever is the featured running back for the Colts probably isn't going to be a workhorse. He's not going to get it done just on the ground with carries. There's going to have to be targets coming. And he got 11 targets, 9 catches, 63 yards, and most importantly for fantasy, 2 touchdowns. So with that being said, do you think, because people are running back needy in fantasy, they always are, do you think he would be worthy of a waiver wire consideration this week?
Holy shit, what just happened there? People are going to go after him, and like you said, people are running needy. If you're in a free agent auction bid, I'm not spending a bunch of money on him. Jordan Wilkins had the most carries, 8 carries.
Mm-hmm.
99 did have those 2 touchdowns, but I can't fall into that yet. I still think Marlon Mack's going to end up being the guy there. Again, I don't think any of them are going to be really that, great this year just because it's Andrew Luck and they have to throw similar to the Lions, but people are going to go after him. Like, you have to. You're running back needy, but if it's me, I already have a bunch of depth in general, just kind of all over the place. I'm not going to drop a guy that I still think is worthy of playing to get a Nyheim Hines when Jordan Wilkins is still getting more carries than him.
Yeah. See, I'm with you with everything that you said there. I think, like you said, I wouldn't put a bunch of free agent money to it if that's how your league does it. I would put maybe in a little bit on him just to have him, just to roster him in case one of your guys goes down, in case you need a bye week play.
Yeah.
That maybe could be the guy. And like you said, it's not going to be consistent. You're not going to get consistent points out of any of these Colts running backs. So maybe you take the chance on, the week I have to play him, hopefully he goes off like he did today. It's not something you're going to want to bank on. It's not something you need to blow your entire free agent money on. But, yeah, probably worth a little bit of consideration anyways. Let's move along here. My next game is your Jaguars beating the Jets 31-12. What do you got?
Dimes. My single syllable. I've had a couple of actual single syllables here. Dimes. Blake Bortles is out here dropping dimes. This guy's all over the place, and I love it. Like, this is Blake. You think you have him 1 week, and then the next week he comes back and does this, and then the next week he doesn't do this. He doesn't do so good. Ben thinks he's got him figured out again. Then he comes back and drops 388 yards, 2 touchdowns with 28 added, which isn't anything crazy, but it gives you a couple extra points. He will find his way among top 12 fantasy QBs, and he remains to be a good streaming option. He does. He just is. You never know what he's going to do, but when he gets the matchup, he's been balling.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say too much about it. Like you said, the numbers were there again. If you used him or if you streamed him in fantasy, you reaped the benefits. But he was also playing the Jets, so I don't know exactly how much stock I can put into it. We talk every single week. We are broken records when it comes to Blake Bortles. You're always going to favor for him, and I'm always going to go against him. So I don't want to hammer that into the ground too much more.
We're going to keep hammering it.
Oh, yeah. What I do want is that beeping to stop. Other than that...
Come on now.
My single reaction is mulligan, because that's what I want here. I want a mulligan. I want a redo in the leagues that I took Leonard Fournette in, because he was active this week. They fed him early, and then he was out early. And that hamstring of his is really putting a damper on my fantasy football team.
I thought they were sitting him for this reason last 2 weeks.
I know, right? But just they keep going on there. And if you're like me, here's my advice. You may be looking for a trade partner for a running back. And you may even have to take a hit in that trade. Like if you're loaded at receiver and you don't have that many running backs, you might need to give up a little bit more quality receiver. But at the same token, that receiver might not make it into your lineup. So it might be okay to technically lose that trade. You might not be getting as great of return back. But I'm here to say, run your trade ideas by me, because I've been through this now for the last couple of weeks. I've been trying to wheel and deal for some running backs here because I have a plethora of wide receivers. Let me know your trades. I'll let you know if it's worth it, because if you're getting desperate as a Leonard Fournette owner, I'm not saying deal Leonard Fournette. I'm saying you're going to have to deal someone else to bring in a running back while Leonard Fournette gets this whole hamstring thing figured out. Because it's handicapping my team.
Look, I'm on the same page. I have Le'Veon Bell in 1 week, sitting on my bench. He's not going anywhere. He's just going to sit there. In another league, I'm only in 3 total leagues. The other league, I have freaking Leonard Fournette. Last week, I just dropped TJ Yeldon. Now, I'm going to have to go try to get this fucker off the waiver wire. Like, I got to go do it. And he may never leave. If I get him, he may never leave my team again. Because I'm starting to get real annoyed with this. Because I don't know why. Like, Yeldon scored a touchdown, had 50-something yards, so he's going to be involved if Fournette's out there. So, I got to get him.
Yeah.
I have to keep him on the team at this point. I thought, Fournette got his 2 weeks of rest.
Nope.
He's going to be healthy. That's why they were sitting him. And I can drop TJ Yeldon comfortably. Nope, I was wrong. Gotta go pick that fucker up again. Yeah,
if you're in that boat, you legit just need to hold on to Yeldon at this point, because that hamstring issue, that thing can flare up at any point. So you'd want the roster spot. You don't want to waste a roster spot on TJ Yeldon when Fournette's healthy, but at this point you literally need to, and it kind of sucks.
Did you hear my herpes drop or no?
Oh, I missed it.
Oh, you said that they could flare up at any time, and I said herpes in the middle of your talking.
Nailed
Damn it! Now I had to say it. It's not as funny anymore.
I still liked it. Before we get into the later afternoon games here, I'm going to tell you about Pristine Auction, because they have daily auctions, and I know all too well that they have daily auctions.
Yep.
Packed with tons of stuff for the man cave, stuff that you may not even want, but you're going to get it if you're drunk and you're bidding. They guarantee their items. They all come with certificates of authenticity only from trusted sources. It's affordable. You may not think you can afford this stuff, but it's much more affordable than you think. It's quick and free to register, free to bid. You only pay when you win. Make sure you mention the Loaded Box podcast in the How Did You Hear About Us section when you register. Head over to pristineauction.com. That's Pristine, Pristine, auction.com. And if you're a Buffalo Bill fan, you should probably reach out to me. And with that, DJ, let's talk a little bit about some afternoon action.
Weird.
Holy cow. The Raiders with a comeback victory over the Browns, 45-42 in overtime. What do you have for this?
Turnover. And I'm not talking about like the pie or the dessert or whatever. I'm talking about the turnovers in this game. Both of these teams played extremely sloppy. There were, I think, 6. I had 5 turnovers, but I saw one more before we started doing this. So 6 turnovers in total, I believe. I think both these teams are going to lose a decent amount of games this year because of turnover issues, and I just don't think they're well coached. When are the Raiders ever well coached, number one?
Right.
When's the last time the Browns have been? I mean, they're both just historically bad coached teams over the last, 20 years or so or whatever like that. So, that's all I got to say. I don't have a lot on that one.
No, it's kind of a heartbreaking loss for Cleveland. I legit had them.
That's tough.
I had it chalked up as a win because I turned it off to start this podcast. I turned it off because I'm like, well, that's it. They didn't get it, and Cleveland's going to win. And then all of a sudden I look, and it's in overtime. So my instant reaction is actually about the Browns, and it's a dick joke because it's regards to Nick Chubb, and I just didn't know which one to go with, so I just went real broad there. But he has over 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, showed some big play potential, and he makes this offense more dangerous. I love the weapons that this team has. There's going to be some growing pains with Mayfield. I saw the one interception where Callaway kind of fell down on his route. I didn't see a second interception, so I can't really comment on that one. A couple of fumbles, had some exchange issues with the center, it looked like there. But man, he brings an energy to that team and to that franchise that they haven't had in a long time. So I know they lost today. I know they gave up a win to the Raiders for their first time all season. But, I mean, I don't want to say it's a moral victory. Moral victories really don't exist, but for lack of a better thing, I'm going to go with moral victory. I think Baker's what they need. I think it was a good showing despite the loss.
He had a terrible interception at the end of that game.
That's the one I missed.
Or end of I think either the end of the regular. I don't know. I was watching it when you were getting all pissed off. So what I was going to talk about is that running game there. So, I mean, Chubb went for 105 yards on 3 carries.
Yeah.
So that seems a little bit, I don't know. I don't think he's the best running back to ever play the game or anything, because that's what that looks like.
Right.
McCullough's Hyde also added 82 yards and 1 touchdown. So he had a solid game as well. I thought I called 100 yards and a touchdown or 2, so I was pretty close there.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just tie this back to the Dolphins. Another team that knows you need to run it. They lost, but they ran really well against the Raiders because they can't stop the run. So Dolphins suck.
Just ineptitude, man. Just ineptitude. I know.
It's ridiculous. They got teams that they're. This game's not even about the Dolphins, but I'm so upset about Drake, and I'm not even a Dolphins fan that I just have to keep going back to it. Like, how fucking stupid.
Yeah. How do you think I feel?
Were they not watching the tape? 208 yards given up on the ground today.
And DJ reverts back to yelling at Adam Gase about Kenyon Drake usage. I love it. Well, let's talk about the other rookie quarterback that made his start today, because Josh Rosen ended up losing to the Seahawks 20-17. DJ, what do you got?
I'm punting.
Next. Nice. And I'm glad you did that, because I've got my instant reaction to that one is hypothetical, because I've got a hypothetical for you. Which of these two teams, you've got Seattle and Arizona, who has more hope for the future? Because Seattle right now, the way they're winning, looks like if they're going to win, it's just because they're just getting by. Like a 3-point win against the Cardinals is not impressive. Then you've got Arizona, who's got Josh Rosen, who didn't have a great stat day. But if it wasn't for, I think there was 3 or 4 legit drops. If they would have caught those balls, there would have been probably more points scored, and the stats would have been a lot better. And I feel like it's a tiny sample size. It's one game, but me and you both love Josh Rosen. So which team do you think is in a better scenario right now? The Seahawks, where they are with Russell Wilson, they're good there, a little bit lacking on defense, or the Cardinals, who are in complete rebuild mode but have maybe a franchise guy in Rosen?
Yeah. Well, let's be honest. I don't think the Cardinals are super far off. The Seahawks are on their way down. What the Cardinals have right now, they have a great young running back in David Johnson. They have a good tight end, Ricky Seals-Jones, also young. They got Christian Kirk, who's played well, and Josh Rosen, who's the future of that team. And their defense has been playing solid so far this year, especially their pass defense.
Right.
So if they can add an offensive line to protect Josh Rosen will get more comfortable over the next couple of years. They can be right back into playoff talk in a year, maybe probably 2 years. More likely is, again, they need to add on that offensive line, but they've got a lot of young pieces that aren't going to be demanding to be paid a lot over the next few years yet. So it just seems like the Seahawks are on the verge of firing just everybody, losing their entire defense, and starting from scratch around Wilson again.
I know.
So, I mean, it's not even close, really.
And then they use a first-round pick on a running back, and he's not even the guy that's getting like the bulk of the work, and they still struggle up front with the line.
I mean, today he was like the third guy, wasn't he?
Yeah, and then just go to the receiver. Doug Baldwin got 2 bad knees. He played today, but who knows what his future is?
Carson didn't play.
He's 30 now.
So Chris Carson didn't play today, and Mike Davis was the lead back.
Yeah, Mike Davis was the lead back today. So yeah, I would say if I was like a fan of one of these teams, I'd have a lot more faith and hope as a Cardinals fan right now than I would as a Seahawks fan. I just think they have a lot of things that they need to like end up rebuilding on at some point.
What does that say about Rashad Penny? The fact that the guy that we all thought would just be ahead of him with Chris Carson is out, and then they just bring up another guy to play ahead of him. 21 carries, 100 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He had a great game.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't fall into that trap, man. His ADP just skyrocketed because they're like, he's going to be the guy. The flashy new toy. That's what I was saying all offseason. He was only going that high because he was the flashy new toy in an offense that people didn't know about. And me and you were like, no, stay far away from that situation.
That seemed like an easy prediction. It didn't even feel like a good one. It just felt easy.
No, I'm with you. Let's knock this next one out. We got the Saints and the Giants. Saints win 33-18. What do you got?
My single syllable is overhyped. I feel as if coming into this year, I remember we went back, we were talking with Mitch about how Evan Ingram, Sterling Shepard, and Saquon Barkley and Odell Beckham. And it's like, well, if we think all these guys are going to be great, then Eli is going to be great, right? I think we might have overhyped that offense a little bit too much. Their offensive line still stinks, and so does Eli when it comes down to it. And having a shitty quarterback and a shitty offensive line, that kind of just affects the entire offense, no matter how good they are.
Yeah.
Shepard has been the one good, I think, best bargain, as you and I predicted. He's had a solid beginning of this year, but I just there's nobody that's overly attractive, and just week to week, Eli makes you nervous because you don't know if he's going to get it. He just doesn't. He sucks.
Well put. He sucks.
He just doesn't have it.
Well, and the thing about Eli, too, is because I got to watch a lot of this game, is when he gets pressure, especially up the middle, like he's to the point where he's never been mobile. Like he's a Manning. He's slow. He doesn't run well. But he girls into a ball and he just goes down. Like he doesn't have that ability to get away anymore like he did years and years and years ago in the Super Bowl with the David Tyree play. Yeah. So if there's any pressure, they're just screwed. And that sucks because, you named off all their playmakers, and they're all good, and they can all be fantasy relevant. But when there's pressure coming up the middle, it makes everyone's job impossible because Eli can't get the ball to anybody. So you've got him checking down a lot. Up until like the fourth quarter, they threw the ball like past farther than 10 yards like one time. It was terrible. They just had to keep throwing it really quick. And that's not what you want against the Saints. The Saints struggle terribly against the deep pass, but they didn't have time to be able to set anything up. So, it's just a really shitty situation until they can get that offensive line fixed. So, we probably did overhype them a little bit, but it's not going to stop you from putting them in your lineup.
No, not those guys.
Not those guys.
Eli's not going to be in my lineup, but I mean, you got to – Shepard's been the biggest bargain by far, and then you have to have Saquon. He's getting a touchdown every year, and that. And you got to have Odell because you picked him in the first or second round probably. I basically said everything I was going to say there for my instant reaction, but I did want to give us a plug because my real instant reaction was bargain shopping, because you need to start following our weekly bargain shopping DFS article. We all from the podcast, and this week we had Christopher Hopper from the Beer Fueled Fantasy Football podcast help us out as well. And we all pick a player that's we all pick a player that is our daily fantasy bargain of the week. And all of our players, Eli was a bit of a downfall, I'll give you that. But all of our skill players either had a touchdown or over 100 yards this week. So start following that. LoadedBoxPodcast.com. That gets released, I believe, every Friday or Saturday. We usually do that one. So check that out. And let's wrap this puppy up with the Chargers eking out a 29-27 win over the 49ers. What do you have? my syllable here is single syllable, is surprise. I completely expected the Niners to actually bet against the Niners here, so I lost that as far as spread goes because the Chargers were 10-point favorites and they only won by 2. I completely expected the Niners to just get blown out. Beat hard, who literally translate to jerking off, he played tough. He played really well. To the point where I'm like, is Jimmy Garoppolo really that, is he that good? Is he actually pretty damn bad? And we discovered it because Beathard played really well. I know it's Beathard, but I'm going to call him Beathard. Doesn't matter. And I don't know. I'm at a loss for words. I'm struggling right now. I think I just had a stroke. Let's move on to the next thing I was going to say. I think this team does have a lot of guys that you can stream this year because I think they're going to be behind a lot in their defense. You're going to have to play guys in every game on both sides of the ball that the Niners are involved in because their defense gives up a ton of yards, but they're going to have to throw a lot. So you can stream guys like Kittle and Garcon and Goodwin. And I'm sure Breed is going to be on a team, so you won't have the opportunity to stream him, but you're going to play him based off of matchups because he's really great catching the ball in the backfield. So that's a team that you kind of want to look at as far as the waiver wire goes from week to week because I just think they're going to be in shootouts no matter what because teams are going to be whooping them because their defense is bad, so they're going to have to throw to keep up.
Yeah, and I would say in regards to the whole Jimmy Garoppolo thing, would I rather have Jimmy Garoppolo or C.J. Beathard? I'm taking Garoppolo all day.
I don't know, man.
I'm taking Garoppolo all day in there. I think there is something there with Garoppolo, and it sucks that he got hurt. But also at the same token, Beathard played a lot last year. It's not like they're turning to a guy who's never played before and especially played in that offense before. So I don't think that they're going to struggle and feel the effects quite as much as maybe we had thought right away. So you're thinking I got to start benching Kittle and Breida and Marquise Goodwin, all these guys. I don't think you're going to have to do that moving forward. We saw Kittle today. I think he had over 100 yards again, a touchdown. You're always going to use – well, you're not always going to use Breida. But if you have him and you're a little bit needy at running back, I wouldn't be opposed to playing him yet. Marquise Goodwin had a pretty high ADP this year. I think you're still going to be playing him. I mean, Garcon's pretty much a stretch at a flex play at best, but if you need to, you kind of can. So I don't think they'll struggle quite as much as we thought with him. But yeah, it just sucks that Garoppolo had to go down because I don't know. I'm a Garoppolo, not a huge fan, but I had hopes for them. I had them as a wild card team this year, and yeah, now they'll probably be lucky to have about 6-7 wins. That's it. You got anything? I think you're on mute, DJ, so I'm going to wrap this puppy up.
Sorry. There was a big loud noise in here, so I had to throw the mute on. I just think Garoppolo would have got destroyed in this game the way he's been playing this year.
Oh, he may have. Well, let's wrap this puppy up. Thanks again for tuning in to the Loaded Box podcast. If you have any questions, check us out on Twitter at Loaded Box. Check out our website that I was talking about earlier. It's loadedboxpodcast.com. Next episode, we'll be back midweek. We'll be doing our NFL Week 5 NFL and Fantasy Football Preview podcast. We're available on iTunes by searching Loaded Box. Subscribe, rate, and review. Thanks for putting up with us today. A little bit of side effects on these hangovers. I was trying to credit Sony Michel or James White with 16 touchdowns. Thanks to DJ for correcting me on that. And with that, as he finishes his beer, why don't you go ahead and send us out?
Bye.